Someone woke up with an attitude.
Cancel culture is canceled.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser.
Why do you think you haven't been cancelled yet? I don't know. What's being cancelled?
Wake up.
Welcome back to the Woke What Cancel This podcast. We're on episode 4 this week. No, I don't have a guest this time around. I know you're probably distraught about that, but it's a really easy subject with deep roots, especially if you're American. And I want to start by giving a disclaimer. Obviously, the views on the podcast are mine alone. When we talk about statistics, they are based on fact, and we urge you to do your own research. Look it up on the internet, all right? That's all you have to do. You can form your own opinion, just don't push that opinion on other people. What we're talking about this time around is being un-American and everything else in between, because let's face it, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. I could be friends with Republicans, friends with Democrats, independents, conservatives, everything along that line. Everybody has great ideas, but the problem is, instead of coming up with a belief that everybody's ideas count and we should be looking at all of that, people tend to push us one side of the aisle or the other. And in America, last time I knew, or maybe that was 30, 40, 50 years ago, when we actually gave a crap about the land that we live in, instead of saying, oh, you know what? We got to believe this. You've got to believe this. You don't have rights. You have to do it this way. This is the only way that matters. And trust me, when I talk about that, I say wholeheartedly, bullcrap. Because each and every one of us should be able to live the way that we want to live without persecution. But the problem is we're losing a lot of the core values that America was founded on. Patriotism, religion, community involvement. All of them are taking a back burner. We're retreating from these core values. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go back to the America of the 40s and 50s when racism was extremely high and everybody that had a different skin tone was basically segregated. That's not what I'm saying in any way, shape, or form, so get that right out of your mind right now. What I'm saying is that at one point, we were proud to be American. We were proud to live in the United States. We were proud to serve in the military. We considered it our civic duty. But right now in the United States, everything we know and love are coming under attack. They are. I mean, let's face it, immigration right now. If you look at everybody in the northern and southern border that are trying to enter our country, they have one thing in mind. They want to get into the U.S. because the U.S. is the land of opportunity. The sad part about it is that we have decided that everybody can come in without reparation. We want to give all of these illegal immigrants driver's licenses, give them the right to vote without even being an American citizen. How un-American is that? We're all immigrants in one way or another. Our families had to come over. Our families had to endure the pressure and had to have the strength to make it through immigration, to learn the laws in the way of the United States before they got to call themselves American. Now, you simply cross the border, you're given health care, phones, bus to wherever you want to go. It's not American. People have forgot that there are things in this country that you should have to do before you become part of our great land. And I have no trouble with any of you being here. What I do have trouble with is you saying, well, you know what? We come from this land and we need to make the U.S. more like that. No, you don't. No, you don't. The U.S. is perfectly fine the way it is. You are coming to our country to live a life better than the one that you just fled. If you want to make our country just like the one you just left, why not stay in your old country? Why come over here and cause us problems? These are the things I'm talking about when I'm talking about being un-American. And America has never felt more un-American in my life as it does right now. Why do you think that is? All right. The Wall Street Journal, an ORC survey, found that just 38% of Americans say patriotism is very important to them. That is telling me right there, nobody is in strong beliefs that America is a great country. Yeah, I mean, patriotism is down. That's telling me you're not proud to be an American. And why? Well, I can tell you right now, a lot of it has to do with who's in the White House. You don't have a strong leader. You don't have somebody that is going to sit there and make people stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to wave the flag because I'm happy about this. I love living in America. You remember back the day after 9/11, what it felt like. We all had our hearts sink to the bottom of the ocean, the deepest depth of the ocean. That's where my heart was. And you know what I did? The day after 9/11, American flags came out in abundance in the store. People had them on their vehicles. They were putting them on the sides of their houses. They were hanging them from overpass bridges. Why? Because we were proud to be an American. Somebody invaded our country. We were standing up. We were pushing it to the limits, and we were saying, damn it, I'm happy to live in the United States of America. I am going to show my patriotism. That is very important to the American way of life. Absolutely crazy. It used to be, a patriotism used to be 70% back in 1998. We've dropped down to 38% right now. Dear God, people, I love the U.S. I am proud to be part of this land. Can I fight for it? Yeah, I can do the best I can. Unfortunately, because of my health, I never was able to join the military. But that doesn't mean I'm not patriotic. Now, slightly more Americans, roughly 39%, place the same importance on religion. That's down from 62% who said faith was very important to them 25 years ago. The Christian church is under attack. We attack religion every single day. Whatever happened to having religion in school? I remember getting up, going to school, and citing the Pledge of Allegiance every single day before that school day began. Now, well, we can't do that because we're afraid, and it all goes to inclusion. The people that are not American, they feel offended by the Pledge of Allegiance. They don't want to say it in school. All right, so what do? We remove the Pledge of Allegiance from school. Instead of saying, all right, Susie or Johnny, if you don't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance, you don't have to, but don't destroy it for the rest of us. So again, we find it easier to actually get rid of this stuff, instead of saying, you know what, hang back there. I understand that you may not be comfortable, and you have the right to sit down when we say the Pledge of Allegiance. But all these vets and other people that served this country, that fought for this country, say we shouldn't have to take this out of school. Another thing is prayer. You know, prayer was big in school. I didn't have that back in my day when I went to high school or elementary school back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. But you know what? Some schools did. Was it bad for them to take religion from schools? Yeah, probably, because you know what? It offended somebody, so again, we delete it. We become un-American. It was our way of life. Was it always an easy way? No, it wasn't. Should we understand? Should we educate ourselves? Should we sit there and tell the people coming into our country that this is our way of life? This is what we were brought up on. This is the way things are done here. But instead of saying, if you don't like it, you can leave, we give in. We cave. We become un-American. Another thing I found really sad, and I'm going to blame this on school shootings, woke education, everything else in between, the percentage of Americans who said raising children was very important fell to 30% in the new poll. That's down from 59% back in 1998. Why do you think that is? Again, school shootings, problems in school, peer pressure, bullying. I know if I was actually able to have children, I would sit there and say, yeah, no, I don't think I am going to have a child and raise it in this world. Why would you want to do that? Do you realize how hard kids are going to have it with climate change, finances, everything else happening, peer pressure, bullying, vaccines, everything in the world right now? It used to be incredible to send kids to school. Did I like it? No, absolutely not. There were some parts I really enjoyed, like lunch and recess and going home for the day. But there were some classes I enjoyed, like agriculture, electrical, and stuff like that. Oh, and don't get me started on home ec. I loved cooking because you know what? We had a chance to eat it after. Yeah, so that was great. Those were the best parts of school. Now, kids are going in, they're getting bullied. They have to go through active shooter drills. They have teachers that can't work with them because classes are so huge. These teachers don't even have the time to give 2 cents to these kids. So they feel like they're going to fail anyway. That's absolutely crazy. And meanwhile, the share of Americans who valued involvement in their community as very important, this is shocking, fell to 27%. That's down from a high of 62% just a couple of years ago in 2019, the last time the question was absolutely polled. We were actually talking about this in my community. I want to get together with some of our local friends around our home and have a cookout this summer. Get to know everybody. Have them over. Say, hey, I'm Al. This is my wife, Barb. Welcome to the community. We love being part of it. Why don't people do that anymore? People don't get together. We do have community events. Yeah, we do. And I love living in northern New Hampshire, but a lot of people don't want to get active in their community. They bitch, gripe, and complain about what happens at city council meetings, but they don't go. They complain about new laws. They complain about things happening to them. They complain about how their streets are plowed and taken care of, but yet they don't stand up. They don't want their voice heard. They'll stay off of social media and say, all right, you know what? Well, we're going to sit there and just post about it, but we're not going to do anything about it. Get involved in your community. One virtue, long associated with liberals, a belief in tolerance for others, is now deemed very important by 58% of Americans. That's down from 80% 4 years ago. So we tolerate others. Why? Again, we don't want to deal with what's going on. So we just be quiet. We tolerate it. We shut down. We be quiet. It's un-American. You should be able to let your voice be heard. You should be able to go to a classroom and say, I don't like what my kids are being taught. I want to voice my concern. If you have trouble with a child or a bully or something like that in school, or even a teacher, hell, it could be the custodian. Maybe they didn't clean the restrooms that good. You should be able to go and complain and let your voice be heard without being shut down, without offending somebody, because you know what? Your voice is allowed to be heard. You should be able to stand up. The poll also found that only 23% of Americans under 30 said patriotism was very important. That's compared to 59% of seniors 65 and older. Why? Because those seniors knew what it was like to stand up for America. They knew what it was like to vote back when they had more rights. Back when they had to fight for the country. They didn't have a choice. They were drafted. Even the military is having a hard time finding people to fight for the U.S. Why? It's because of everything going on. Nobody wants to fight for a country that doesn't give two craps about them. We should be taking care of our veterans before allowing illegal immigrants into this country. No vet should ever be homeless, go without health care, go without home, be on the streets, anything like that. They fought for this country, not the people that are coming across the border. How an American can we be? We're going back in time, folks. We're not moving forward. Any of you think that we're actually moving forward in the United States? I think you got a screw loose. There's something seriously wrong with you because it's not right. We're not moving forward. We're going back. 31% of young respondents on this poll said religion was very important compared to 55% of those 65 and up. Less than a quarter, roughly 23% of younger Americans deemed having children was very important, while 32% of seniors said the same. It's pretty sad, folks. Like I said, we're going backwards in time. Something else that we're talking about, and we've actually been touching on this, approximately 3/4 of Americans agree that the country is actually heading in the wrong direction, but there's considerable division over whether the country needs to move backward toward an idolized past or forward toward a more diverse future. With everything going on in the world today, when we're talking about the wokeness, we're talking about trans, we got to accept everybody for who they are. I do believe that. We do have to accept people for who they are. But we do not have to accept everything that's happening in the world today. Woke education, woke people, canceling everything. We don't have to do that. Most Americans favor moving forward. A sizable minority yearn for a country reminiscent of the 1950s, embrace the idea that God created America to be a new promised land for European Christians, view newcomers as a threat to American culture, and believe that society has become too soft and feminine. Do you think a lot of the kids being born today are the face of the new military? Do you honestly think that's going to happen? The minority is comprised primarily of self-identified Republicans, white evangelical Protestants, and white Americans without a college degree. I don't have a college degree. I'm entitled to my opinion, though, and I think, we are moving in the wrong direction. The majority of Americans, however, especially younger Americans, the religiously unaffiliated, and the Democrats, are more likely to embrace a competing vision for the future of America that is more inclusive. I think that is good to a point, but it doesn't need to consume everything in America. Again, we don't have to worry about all the different colors of people's skins. We don't have to worry about every ethnicity or where everybody comes from. We are a human race. We should be considered a singular race. We don't need to put labels on everything. Americans are most likely to say things that are going in the wrong direction. We're talking about race and ethnicity, roughly about 80%, while 69% of those who identified as multiracial, AAPI, Native American, or any other race say the same, as do 66% of Hispanic Americans and 58% of Black Americans. White Americans with at least a 4-year college degree are less likely than those without a 4-year college degree to say things are going in the wrong direction. There's no differences by gender or age on this, so you be the judge. Do you think just because I'm uneducated, I didn't go to college, that my opinion is wrong compared to somebody that has a bachelor's or a master's degree? Just because you're more educated doesn't mean you're actually socially smarter. You have a degree. I can do stuff you probably can't. That doesn't mean I'm dumb. It doesn't mean I'm stupid. It doesn't mean my opinion shouldn't count. Like we've been saying, division over whether the country is better or worse since the 1950s. Well, Americans are equally divided on the question of whether the country's culture and way of life have become better or worse since the 1950s, roughly 49% to 49%. Those are most likely to say, or those people are most likely to say the country is moving in the wrong direction, are also most likely to say things have gotten worse since the 1950s, back when American pride was huge and people worked their asses off to become part of our culture, to become part of our history, and they understood it. We taught history. We didn't erase it. 2/3 of Republicans, or roughly 66%, believe things have changed for the worse since the 1950s, compared with half of the independents and only 30% of the Democrats. To me, it almost seems like Democrats can't see things for what they absolutely are. They want to push us in one direction. To me, I really think there should be no Democrats, no Republicans, no party, because none of them can think or get along or agree with one another. They all have to be biased about things that happen each and every day. So, to me, I think even our government has become more un-American than what they were back in the 1950s and the 60s. Can we learn from our mistakes? Absolutely. Do we have to change completely? No, we don't. Should everything be inclusive? Absolutely not. We don't have to be. We can accept people for the way that they are. We can accept people for their skin color. We can accept people based on their religion, their views, based on the government. It doesn't matter. But we don't have to be pushed into a way that is un-American. What do you think these groups out there, like the ones that stormed the Capitol on January 6th, were so pissed off about? Because they remember a America that was strong, and they see that it's going right down the crapper. I can honestly tell you this much. If another Democrat gets in the White House in 2024, I feel things are going to get really bad. We're going to continue to go downhill. Do I think Democrats are the Antichrist? Absolutely not. But they don't seem to see that anything they do, say, or how they act is wrong. And that's one of the ways that America is becoming more un-American. Thanks for listening to the Woke What Cancel This podcast. Just a reminder, the views on the podcast are mine. They are my opinion. You do need to base everything on your own opinion and what you believe. The statistics are based on fact. And again, you can find any of this information just by simply Googling it. If you'd like to be a guest on our next podcast of Woke What Cancel This, you can email WokeWhatCancelThis at yahoo.com. Also find us on Facebook and our YouTube channel as well. Remember, being in America, home of the free, land of the brave, is a God-given right. Work for it. Become American. You're not here to make America the same thing as what you just left. That's your country. This is ours. Till next time.